I didn't think I was the kind of person who could get lucky anymore. That's dramatic, I know. But last year was one of those stretches where everything that could wobble did. My job cut my hours. My girlfriend cheated and left. I burned through what little savings I had pretending things were temporary. They weren't. By the time I started looking for a new place, I was down to a duffel bag, a mattress topper, and a laptop with a cracked hinge. That's when I found the listing. It was posted in a small housing group for our town, one of those upscale rural places that pretends it isn't rural. Boutique coffee shops next to feed stores, expensive apartments surrounded by empty fields, people with money who want quiet. The ad was simple: room for rent, clean, quiet, no drama, $300 flat, utilities included. $300 for a one-bedroom share in that building was insane. Studios there went for triple that. I assumed it was fake. But I messaged anyway. He replied within 10 minutes. His name was Daniel. He said he owned the apartment but traveled for work and preferred having someone around so the place didn't sit empty. He liked structure. He'd had bad roommate experiences before, but was willing to try again. We met that same night at a brewery downtown. He didn't look like a scammer. Mid-30s, clean-cut, soft-spoken. The kind of guy who folds his napkin instead of crumpling it. He asked normal questions. Work, hobbies, how long I plan to stay. When I asked why the rent was so cheap, he shrugged. Peace of mind, he said. Money isn't the issue, stability is. I should have thought that was strange. I didn't. The apartment was nicer than anywhere I'd lived before. Top floor, vaulted ceilings, quiet hallway, neutral colors. Everything staged like a model unit. The first thing I noticed were the walls. Several sections in the hallway had slightly different paint texture. You wouldn't notice unless you were looking. The patches were neat, professional, but they were there. Pipe burst last year, Daniel explained when he saw me glancing at them. Insurance nightmare. Had to redo some drywall. He said it casually, like he'd rehearsed it. Then he went over the rules. He called them house boundaries. No guests, ever. Don't tamper with the walls or the utility closet. Text if staying out past midnight. Keep the place clean, spotless, no pets. If I smelled anything strange, it was probably plumbing, and I shouldn't try to fix it. They weren't insane, just strict. I needed cheap rent more than freedom. So I agreed. Living with Daniel was calm, almost too calm. He was tidy, predictable, quiet to the point of invisibility. Some days I barely heard him. He worked from home consulting. His office door stayed closed most of the time. He never had visitors, never got personal mail beyond generic envelopes, no old photos anywhere, just abstract art prints. The fridge was organized like a diagram, labels forward, expiration dates visible. If something ran low, it was replaced immediately. Sometimes the brands changed. Milk one week would be a different brand the next. I assumed he shopped sales. He vacuumed twice a week, wiped the baseboards, and wiped the walls, specifically the patched sections. That detail stuck with me later. At the time, I just thought he was obsessive. I didn't break the guest rule for almost a month. Not because I respected it, because I didn't want to risk losing the place. But one night I met a girl at a bar downtown. Her name was Mara. She had a silver ring with a turquoise stone on her right hand, chipped along the edge. I remember because she kept twisting it while she talked. She was just passing through town for work. We hit it off. I told her my roommate was chill. That was the first lie. We went back to my place. When we walked in, she looked around and said, "This place is nice. Doesn't look like two guys live here." I laughed and said he was particular. We ordered food and started flipping through streaming options. Eventually, we landed on a documentary. It was about an unidentified serial offender operating in upstate counties. The media called him the vacancy squatter. The killer targeted homes where owners were away on extended trips. He would break in and live there for weeks, sometimes months. The homes remained mostly untouched except for subtle differences. Groceries replaced with different brands. Furniture shifted by inches. New drywall patches discovered months later. Several women had gone missing across different counties. An investigator suspected the cases might be connected. After it ended, Mara nudged me. "Imagine watching this in a stranger's apartment." I told her she was paranoid. She laughed and stood up to use the bathroom. A moment later, I heard tapping from the hallway. I turned to see her knocking on the drywall with her knuckles. Then she tapped it again. "Why does that sound hollow?" I froze. Because it did. Daniel's bedroom door opened. I'd never seen him move that fast. He stood there, face blank. "Who is this?" he asked calmly. I started apologizing immediately. Mara smiled awkwardly. "Just heading to the bathroom." She walked down the hall. Daniel never took his eyes off me. "I don't like unpredictability," he said softly. "It disrupts structure. I promised it wouldn't happen again." He nodded. "It won't." Then he went back into his room. A few minutes later, Mara came back. "Well, he's Mr. Sunshine," she whispered. To lighten the mood, I remembered something she said earlier about liking vintage items. I told her I had an old pocket watch. I went to grab it. When I returned to the hallway, she was gone. Her purse was gone. Her jacket was gone. I checked my phone, no message. I walked into the living room. Daniel was sitting on the couch, like nothing happened. "She left," he said. "What?" She said she needed a rest, work early. That didn't make sense. "Dude," he said, shrugging. "I think she just wasn't interested." I texted her twice, no reply. By morning, I convinced myself she ghosted. It happens, right? About a week later, I started noticing a smell. Faint, sweet, metallic. I assumed it was trash, then plumbing. Daniel said the pipes sometimes did that. The smell faded for a day, then came back stronger. I also noticed a new drywall patch in the hallway. Fresh paint, perfectly blended. Then a woman approached me outside work. She showed me a photo, a man who looked like Daniel. "My brother," she said. "Have you seen him?" I said I lived with Daniel. She went pale. "My brother's name is Daniel." She said he hadn't answered his phone in 2 months. That night I asked my roommate about it. "Family drama," he said. "My sister exaggerates." Then he smiled. "Don't let unstable people shake you." I believed him. The smell got worse. Daniel burned candles constantly, cleaned more than usual. Then one morning he said he was visiting family out of state. He packed light, left quietly, and never came back. While packing my room, I dropped my phone. It slid under a loose floorboard. When I lifted the board, I saw plastic sheeting, duct tape, and something silver in the corner. Mara's ring. My hands went cold. I knocked on the wall behind my bed, hollow. I grabbed a hammer. The first hit cracked the drywall. The second broke through. I shined my phone light inside. Plastic. Then something shifted. An eye rolled toward the light, clouded, pressed against plastic, looking back at me. Police arrived within minutes. They cut open the walls. They found Mara first, wrapped in plastic, folded into the cavity. Then they opened the other patched sections. They found another body, the real Daniel, the brother from the photograph. Investigators believe my roommate killed him first, took his identity, his apartment, his life. They think he rented the spare room to me so the place looked legitimate. An alibi with a toothbrush in the bathroom. They also found another empty cavity in my room, lined with plastic, prepared. On the wooden beam inside was a single word written in pencil: soon. I moved out that week. I don't stay anywhere long now. In hotels, I knock on the walls, just lightly, listening. Last week, there was an article about a home 3 counties over. Owners returned from vacation. Minor interior repairs noticed. Several women missing in the area. Investigators believe someone may have lived in the house while they were gone. No arrest has been made. I don't read those articles anymore. I don't need to. They never caught him. He's still out there. And for 1 month, I was his roommate.